Okay, we're back with another Jazz Matters podcast. Of course, I am Edwin Williams with Jazz Matters. Today we'll be talking to saxophonist Kenneth Faison. Now, we also have, of course, our co-host Vaughn Coulter from Jazz Beats Radio. Uh, what we want you to do is go to the Yes Jazz Matters website and check out everything there is to know about Jazz Matters. Jazz Matters is a 501c3 a nonprofit, and we do have our dedication is preserving heritage and culture of jazz and everything, all music's related to jazz. We also have over there a donate page, and all 501s have to have donations. So please kick along the donation and also subscribe to us, like us, throw us out there on Facebook or Instagram or all the rest of the platforms that's available to you. But we're going to talk a little bit with Kenny. I've been trying to get up with Kenneth for about 2 years. And he's been moving around so much because he's got a lot going on with the music, and he has several groups that he pretty much is the leader or manager of. And Kenneth, go ahead, for all the people who don't know, just tell them who you are, where you're from, and how you got started in this business.
Okay, my name is Kenneth Faison. I'm originally from Vidalia, Georgia. I was a PK, so I started playing instruments in the church to back up my dad. I started on drums, and then moved to saxophone. I got a music scholarship to Clark Atlanta University, which is what brought me to Atlanta under Mr. James Patterson. And that was my introduction into jazz music. Up until that, I had been listening to a lot of gospel artists, Gerald Albright, as far as my jazz influence, my initial jazz influence, and David Sanborn. And then I had a friend of mine named Ken Roberts, who was, I guess he was a clinician for a marching band program I was in, and he's from Atlanta. And he turned me on to the whole Clark Atlanta University Jazz Orchestra and got me connected with Mr. Patterson. And I came up, did an audition. And my first audition, I thought I was at Clark, but I was at Morehouse. And I was auditioning at Morehouse, and they said, "Man, we'll take you. But they didn't have any information on me. And so, I was like, I think I'm at the wrong place. And then we were asking if they knew Mr. Patterson, and of course they directed me to Clark. And we auditioned over there, man, and I just I felt at home. The guys were really embracing. They loved my talent, loved my sound. And they started turning me on to different artists. The first artist Pat turned me on to was Charlie Parker. But I heard Cannonball, and I put Parker down. I fell in love with Cannonball, man. Yeah, I fell in love with Cannonball. But at Clark we did a lot of European tours. We went on tour. We did CAU on tour. We had a small group, so I got a chance to play in a small group setting as well as the big band setting. And from there on, man, it was just, I had an appreciation and a love for music, which I guess jazz music is like the foundation. It gives you the foundation of all music styles, And from there, I did horn section stuff and toured with different artists. I did disco artists for a minute. I did Gloria Gaynor for a minute. I did hip hop with Outkast and what's the guy's name? T.I. T.I., those guys. But I don't know. I mean, now I'm putting together bands. My idols and gold, I guess one of my idols have been Berry Gordy and Quincy Jones. I love those guys. So now I'm trying to kind of build bands and do records and produce artists and stuff like that now.
So you're moving into the producer.
Say again?
You're moving into the production thing.
Yeah, man. It's funny because I've done, man, Edwin, doing the bands, man. I've been a driver. I've been the stage crew. I've been the lighting guy. You know what I mean? It's like you learn so much doing this, and you appreciate it all because it all is connected to the music. Right. But yeah, I think it's time for me to kind of evolve to the production side of it.
Well, the good thing about that is because of the way you did it, and you still have something to fall back on from Clark. That is kind of the way most guys I know that do excel in the business. They'll start out, let's say it like, let's use a military term, say the grunt work, like being the driver, being the working with techs, and also at the same time being a good musician.
And playing at the same time,
yeah. And it's because all that stuff that's around you piques your interest. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, why is it like this, or what do you have to have this? And, all the tools that it takes for you. So, like you said, eventually you'll be able to step out and control your own destiny, really, just by doing that. Because that's a foundational piece that is that you don't have to necessarily rely on outside entities,
outside sources.
For only thing you want from them is advice and a direction on the level that you're not on, but you know what you got to have, and you can speak the language.
Yeah. And so I was blessed, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was blessed to have. I think it's very important to have good teachers and good mentors. You know what I mean? And I say good, and I'm not saying good as they're I think good is in all people. I'll put it like that. So you have some people who are not church going people. You know what I mean? But they're great people. And so music has taught me to open myself up to different kinds of people. And I've learned that everybody has something to teach you. You know what I mean? From the sound guy who's maybe over there drinking a fifth of alcohol, you know what I mean? While he's mixing the show, he still has so much to give to you, I just learned a lot from a lot of different people in the business along the way, and also was a teacher. I was a teacher for a number of years. I taught public schools for like 2 or 3 years after I graduated, and that connected me more to the. I never want to get to the point where I'm afraid of my own neighborhood per se. You know what I mean? Right. And that's something that my instructors always gave me. So I wanted to go and teach. I wanted to get a feel for what the kids like, what the kids appreciate. And ironically, they love jazz, man. Yeah. The kids love what you put in front of them, what you put on their ears. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, I still feel that there's a good connection there.
Yo, Vaughn, step on in here, Vaughn, and
what's up, Vaughn?
At Jazz Beats Radio. So I know Vaughn got quite a few questions because
I was going to say that he put in the time doing all the grunt work, and you've gotten to the position now when you're going to start producing. I feel you on that. I've done the same thing in order to obtain some sort of status, getting ready to move on to another level. But what was your childhood like growing up in the music industry?
Well, my mother and father divorced. My father was a drummer. And my father played with the Manhattans. He played a little bit of Earth, Wind and Fire. So he would take me to the studios with him, and I would see my dad in the glass playing the drum. My first instrument was drums, but my dad was such a difficult teacher to please. You know what I mean? So I make a mistake playing drums. I might get a stick. You know what I mean? Upside my head, or a stick upside my hand. So, he was a drummer, man, and I guess my passion, just watching him play and seeing him, kind of mix and mingle with his friends and all. That gave me a passion for music. My mother divorced my father when I was 6, but she married a preacher, and he was a trombonist. So I was still around, I was still around the music, and my mother was the choir director. So I came up, staying late nights at the church, listening to all the voices and all that. Ironically, my first teaching gig, I was the choral director. Coming out of college, I was the choral director, at East Lake Elementary. So that was a good deal for me.
Right.
Pulling from my childhood, to kind of facilitate my life at the time. But I had a great childhood as far as music. I would go from a Pentecostal church to a Baptist church, So I got the all the music and all the interaction of the hooping and hollering on the Pentecostal side, and then some weekends I'll be with my grandparents, getting the spirituals, getting all that, So I church was my beginning and where we started.
All right.
Well, Ken, also right now, what you got on the burner right now? What are you into right now as far as with the pandemic? I'm sure everybody's got some kind of plan going on.
Yeah.
But tell us what's happening right now.
I was full go on the bands, the wedding bands, producing wedding bands and sending them out. Our shows, of course, got cut, but most of them got rebooked for this year. Hopefully, they'll pick up for this year. But man, I started recording with a friend of mine who his name is Chuck Harmon. He's a part of a group called Weirdo Workshop. And so we were working with his projects and stuff like that before the pandemic, and we're still doing stuff like that with him now. I'm doing a horn section. I do the horn section with him, which is sax, alto, tenor, baritone, trumpet, and trombone. And we actually got nominated for a Grammy with an album we did with him for Leandria Johnson, gospel artist.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's a great writer, man. Great guy. Outside of that, man, shedding. I've been playing a couple of small groups with a couple of local artists. Last night I did something with a friend of mine named Jay Fly, who's producing this.
Yeah,
Jay Fly's a good cat, man. And we met when we were kids because he's from Wayne County, which is Waycross, Georgia, and I'm from Toombs County, which is Vidalia, Georgia. So we like childhood competitions. I was in Quiz Bowl and debate team and stuff like that growing up. So we actually had a competition at his school. So yeah, we go way back, man. We go way back. But he's doing something for Black History Month with the Apex Museum. So we worked with him last night on some horn arrangements.
Wow, good deal.
But man, I'm a father of three, so the pandemic has had me also. I'm my responsibilities kind of shifted to father the house kind of deal. You know what I mean? I'm making it happen, man. So all the time that I miss with my kids from working out with them and just going to stores with them and cooking with them and stuff like that. That's kind of what we're getting in there.
So you're doing the virtual teaching?
I did a couple of classes with a couple of guys, man. Mostly guys I went to college with. They reached out to me and wanted to kind of further along, and I had some time, so I worked with them on some things. But I gained 15 pounds there during this pandemic, man. I'm in the gym myself trying to. Well, I'm trying to share to get it back, man. We're supposed to be going back out in March, so I'm trying to get it down.
Yeah, you put on that. That's what I call that pandemic weight.
That pandemic weight, man.
And it seems like it only settles in one area. You know what I'm saying? Right around the waistline.
That's it, man. That's it, man.
The only exercise you get is moving from one room to the next. Just watching. Whatever happens, go sit in one room, get up for a minute, and go sit in another room. That's about it. So now with the now you have multiple bands, right? Right
now we're working with three. We're working with three different units. The Showstoppers Pure Party Band. We have a third unit that we're working on now, trying to get them out there. And to be honest with you, man, that came about. I was doing Jerry Freeman. Jerry Freeman pulled me into horn section work. And I was working with Horns Unlimited, and I it was like multiple groups needing horn players, and he sent me to a band. He said, "Hey man, this could be your band if you could put a horn section together." I said, "Okay, I put a horn section together based on friends that I went to college with, And so the corporate band became kind of like a stable income for us. You know what I mean? And so I would turn all of my friends on, who was singing in the clubs or were singing on tour. They came off. And eventually the band leader came to me and said, "Hey man, you're so resourceful with the pulling people in. I want to give you this band. I want to sell you this band." I said, "Wow." At the time I didn't see myself being that type of leader, but then I saw the need for just stability amongst my friends with jobs and work. So we took it on, man, and after that we built a sub list of musicians, people that we can call. Our sub list became another band. Same thing with our third band. It's becoming another band. But it's become, it's really become, like I said, a staple for the musicians. You know what I mean?
Right.
As far as income, week to week, you got to check. You know, and then the caliber of musicians are good musicians. You know, good singers. You know, so it's working. It's working.
Yeah, usually, and in that field, as long as you have, as long as it's well organized, then
Yeah.
you can continue to work because there is not going to be a shortage, you know, of those type of jobs. You know what I'm saying? But it's, in some cases, it could be seasonal where you do more than others. You know, but for the most part, it is one of those situations where you have that opportunity. You have the opportunity to move in or out of that kind of thing, and it's always good because you always see what you have, and you can say, well, I want to go mainstream with this. So then you start thinking about, you know, how do you get the people that you're working with to go a little more mainstream. And you know what I mean by mainstream, of course, is you're looking at trying to find or put a production together or persons. Like you already doing. You see, you already in that situation where you got some artists that you know that has that potential to be played in mainstream radio. But now, how did you run across these the artists? Because you did let me know about a couple that you had that you were interested in trying to. Are you gonna try to do the put them in the mainstream environment, or are you gonna?
We were talking. Yeah, that's what I want to do with them. And the thing about it is, like, through doing the wedding bands and all, I've seen the response of the audience to the, you know, I've seen them grow to becoming a better artist. But yeah, that's the goal, man. See, the corporate bands for me was almost like Motown bands. You know what I'm saying? But the market didn't dictate like the Motown band anymore. It was like, you know, they weren't taking horns on the road. They weren't taking five singers on the road. But this corporate unit gave me the opportunity to experiment with that whole thing all over again. You know, so yeah, I want to take these. It's about 2 or 3 artists that I have in mind that I want to take to, you know, just kind of evolve from where we are to a bigger audience, and do some original music with them, and then also do some covers with them. Reintroduce some songs to the mainstream again. You know.
Vaughn and I were talking about something similar to that recently about having groups do. There are a lot of groups now that do covers, and what we were talking about was basically trying to find that element that was lost in the music, which was soul. And especially in rhythm and blues music or R&B music, I think they pretty much put it in a different category now. R&B now is something totally different from the way we came up with it, which also caused you to lose an element, which was the soul. And Vaughn had a couple of groups that he hit me to about that he was listening to. So Vaughn,
what do you have, man?
Well, I was, you know, the conversation. Yeah, I was looking at the fact that, you know, many of these bands of the past, you know, kind of, I like going back in time, and I've kind of like, you know, kind of compared what, you know, how that groove, how that soul came up to a certain point and completely shut off in the industry.
Okay.
And I know it has something to do with the way the record industry has the term I want to use is mutated into something that isn't what it used to be. But the evolution of the sound is no longer there. And you know, just trying to find a way, you know, because I'm looking at it, that's when music was that's when music was at its finest, you know, being able to play those melodies and that bass line and that, you know, those keyboards and that rhythm beat, that rhythm section, the drum, the bass, the lead guitar or the rhythm guitar. I mean, my gosh,
it's a conversation. It's a conversation.
Yeah, it is. And so, you know, I'm just trying to figure out how can that be returned, you know, back to the form. I don't think the record industry has no interest in even doing that anymore, but we have to find a way to get it back. We have to find a way to get it back.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
And so, you know, what you're doing, from what I understand, you have your own, like a cadre of musicians, you know, the horn section and vocals that, you know, you leave that option available to the artist to be able to capture that sound again, you know, and you have that contact with those musicians to be able to bring them in. Are you seeing any positive reaction from that?
Oh, yeah. What I've noticed is like, it's almost like it's already in us to appreciate this music, because I want to say it's innate. You know what I mean? That feeling that live music gives you, the horns, it's innate. So when we're playing the music, and I see these young kids, 20 to 25 years old, singing all of the soul music, great, singing Aretha Franklin, singing the Michael Jacksons, singing, you know, it shows me that it's bigger than the record industry. You know what I mean? It's kind of like music is. I guess you said we could take it back. Now I tell you what I do see happening in this city. Atlanta is a great city to the point where you could start trends here. You know what I mean? We could just like you talking about reintroducing the music to another platform. We could start a band in Atlanta specifically for that, right? And just record them playing here, record them doing this, and record them doing special songs, put it out on social media, strategically, put it different places, and it'll catch. It'll catch. This city still has that vibe. You know what I mean? It still has that attraction all over the country, all over the world, to be honest with you. There's no other city in the world like this, like Atlanta. And I think that's why we get a lot of attention, because the name of our band is called Atlanta Showstoppers. So, you know, people are like, oh man, this is a hot band out of Atlanta, a hot band out of Atlanta. And I notice now, I mean, it's becoming like the thing to do. Include Atlanta in your name. Include Atlanta in your name, you know. But yeah, my kids my son texted me yesterday. He said, Dad, I'm listening to a lot of jazz music now. My son's 21, you know. And it's just for them to be exposed to it. You know what I mean? Right. They'll pick it up because it's already there. It's already there.
I wanted to mention, there's two young twin brothers that I have contacted over the last couple of weeks. They're called the Moore twins.
Okay, and I know them. I'm friends with them on Facebook.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm friends with them on Facebook. And their father too. Yeah, man. Yeah, they're good players. Good players. Yeah, I follow them.
I had a conversation with with their dad on a day or two ago, and thinking about having them come on a call into the radio show so I can interview them. Yeah. And their dad expressed a great deal of interest in being able to let me know that his sons are highly involved in the preservation of this art form, and how they, you know, look forward to being able to propel this into the future, to be able to, because they're only 25 years old. These kids are just starting out, and they are doing some incredible work right now in you know, recording and just being able to play at some. Yeah. And I told the dad, I said, you starting them off absolutely right, Dad. Because
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, they're going to be taking this music into the future. And along with Justin Lee Schultz out of Florida, that young kid right there is breathtaking. He's an instrumentalist. And
what instrument does he play, Von?
My gosh.
What instrument is he playing?
Say that again.
What instrument does
Justin
he play?
Lee Schultz, he plays keyboards. He's basically a keyboardist. And then he's a bassist as well. He can play the drums. Now, and he's also working with the vocoder. So he just recently joined Alexander Zonchek, the flautist, on his latest single. And it's just amazing. You know, both of them are moving into the, I mean, you know, into the top charts right now. And Justin Lee has Gerald Albright on it, along with the keyboard artist from Pieces of a Dream. And they, you know, it's in the top 20 right now as far as Billboard charts is concerned. But anyway, I just want to say it's breathtaking to see these young kids do what they do right now. You know, and they're interested in looking backwards, which is good because these kids are inspired by Art Tatum, Oscar Peterson.
I've seen it. Yep, I've seen that. Yeah.
You know, Chick Corea.
You know, thinking about, you know, you mentioned the more. There's another guy here named Chavis Flags. Have you heard of Chavis Flags?
That name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Now Chavis is the guitarist. I was at one point I was music director at Word of Faith with Dale Bronner, and he was a young guitarist. He was a young guitarist over there, and he's the guy that's on the skateboard that's going around the city, playing rock and roll and doing. I don't know if you've seen the post, man. He's really blown up too, but he plays saxophone, he plays guitar, he plays keys, he plays drums. It's like these kids are so talented. They just need those instruments in their hands. That's all. Now that's another campaign that I wanted to start.
Yeah, and now with Jazz Matters, that's also a thing that we have actually focused on, was to get the kids in school to be exposed to the instrument, and that way, you now when you do that, you develop the music trend for the future. Because as long as they have exposure to it, and they'll start understanding really what they're dealing with as far as the music. That's for a lot of them, that's their way out. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, for instance, like college, for instance, for a lot of kids, college isn't for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes, like, I mean, and the reason why you could say that in the music field, because if you went up and asked a person, what college did John Coltrane graduate from? You know what I'm saying? Or Charlie Parker, or you know what I'm saying? Or I mean, and Earl Garner. The list goes on and on. Duke Ellington. I mean, none of those guys ever went to college. See what I'm saying? They were just gifted musicians because the tools were put in front of them at an early age, and they expand. That's what the deal is. So at Jazz Matters, we're working on.
You want to notice too with the younger generation. I'm sorry. You know what I was saying? With the younger generation, I'm noticing they're playing like 4 instruments at one time. Whereas my generation, we just wanted to play 1 or 2. You know what I mean? These guys are playing 4 and 5 instruments at one time.
Well, the funny thing is, like, when I was going to school, that's the way I was. I wanted to play a lot of different instruments.
You wanted to play everything?
I wanted to play all the instruments. But the thing about it was, of course, you know, you can play them all, but there's going to be 1 or 2 instruments that you're really going to excel on. You know what I'm saying? It's just the
gravitate to.
But what Jazz Matters is, like I said, we're trying to do programs for schools to expose the kids, especially the younger kids, and we want to give them that platform, that opportunity. You know? But back at what you're doing right now, Ken, you working on any original stuff?
I am.
For yourself?
I am. I've done some stuff with are you familiar with Dwight Smith? You know Dwight Smith, the drummer?
Yeah, I know.
He's a local guy. I'm working with some stuff with him. I've done the Jackson brothers, Michael Jackson and Edward Jackson. Yeah, I've done some stuff with them. But I'm leaning more towards gospel right now too, man. I'm doing a lot of spiritual work and stuff like that. Maybe with 3 or 4 saxophones, you know, like a quartet kind of sound.
Right.
But I don't anticipate that coming out until probably like the summer, because it's a different thing for me. It's like I'm not really trying to do CDs. I'm trying to do more catalog stuff. Yeah. And just have it available. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah, just catalog it. I have people in mind. I want to sing my songs.
I hear you.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. So I just want to catalog them right now and get them together.
Right. Okay. I know that me and Vaughn talk a lot about different subjects, but the thing is, in your situation, right now, because of the pandemic, of course, you know, nobody's able to get out. When this thing kind of eases up, because you're in so many different directions right now, what are you going after first? You know what I'm saying? Something, you know, something with the stability, you know, that it has, or are you going to do more on the writing end or the recording end? I mean, which direction are you going to go in?
Yeah.
Because we'll be better.
I've always wanted to do
Go
I've always wanted to do a record of the band, like a band record. And just talking to the different band members, I think everybody now is at a point where they're extremely grateful for the gifts they have. You know what I mean? And now we're tuned in to want to do an album. So that may be something we do. But man, just to be back on the stage would be just enough for me right now. You know what I mean? Just to be back able to play on the stage would be good. Yeah.
There may be a.
But I'm looking for.
There may be an issue.
You said getting back may be an issue?
Yeah, well, getting back to stage and doing what you're doing for the crowds that you want to deal with. So when you go back, I mean, you know, of course, it's a possibility that, you know, the money that would be involved would be a little less because there won't be as many people coming out immediately, you know. So would that have any effect on, you know, your performance, or you just want to perform?
Now you said as far as like the money being available for the band, the size of the band, or
yeah, the sizes of the band and the fact that, you know, the venues will probably have a limited amount of people that they can deal with either way.
Yeah. You know what I noticed? What I noticed has been going on, and this is kind of one of the, I guess, the pluses of the market, the wedding market. Most of the families have been doing things outside, you know, especially down in the South. A lot of the families have farms, so they've kind of privatized the entire deal now. They're not going to the venues or the country clubs to do weddings anymore. They're going to their farms. The farms are setting it up there. You know, the tables are 6 feet apart. This deal, they may have the temperature checks, you know, but they're still moving forward with it, man. The families that can, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm grateful for that. You know, like I said, I want to evolve to making each band a recording artist. You know what I mean? But the reality is, right now, you know, it's what's work, what brings work, and what brings the money into, you know, to each individual that's a part of the project. And that market has kind of been a staple market for us.
Right, because
I don't know.
Each group to be a recording artist, that's great, but that takes development. You know, that takes a little time. You know,
yeah, that takes a whole other deal. Yeah.
You have to kind of really pace yourself in that direction so that you don't try to just, okay, we're gonna start recording. You know what I mean? That may not work out.
But you know what I think? Hey, you know what I think is missing, man? I think, and this is what I see. This is what I used to see every weekend works. Every weekend, Tina Turner worked every weekend. Right. I mean, I don't care if it's old, young. A Tina Turner artist right now would blow people away. I'm not talking Beyonce. Right. I'm talking Tina Turner. Yeah, it would blow people away. And in a voice like David Ruffin, these days will blow people away.
Yeah. Well, you went back to the old R&B soul thing.
That's it, man. That's it. You know, it's almost that's what this time is making us do. Return back to a time where it was a real deal, real thing. You know what I'm saying? Artists were nurtured, artists were developed, as opposed to an overnight success type deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think what happens too, a lot of the songs that are going on now don't match the personality of the artist.
Exactly.
So you're not even feeling. They don't feel what they're singing, and you're not feeling what they're giving you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So yeah. And so even a band like Earth, Wind, and Fire, if a band came out right now that was a spitting image of Earth, Wind, and Fire, they would dominate the market right now. There's nothing to compare
Edwin and I were having that same conversation yesterday. We were having that conversation yesterday. So I'm looking down the same road you are.
Yeah.
Kenneth, I'm looking down the same road you are, because it's what the people are hungry for, but they don't know it because they've been fed so much of this other stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I totally agree.
Something that's authentic, something that is organic, something that is from the heart and soul of the human experience.
Yep.
Can you imagine what that's going to look like? I could just see just a huge explosion taking place if somebody was to say, enough is enough.
Yeah.
We can't keep going down this road.
You can't keep going down this road. Yeah. I agree.
There's a, of course, the world is pretty large, and there is an audience for everything, no doubt about it. But to make the public or the mainstream a little bit more aware of what we're talking about, we're basically, like you said, reaching back and grabbing the elements that were kind of kicked to the side when all the automation came in. Now that the automation is here and has been here for a while, what people are recognizing is that they lost the human element along with the automation. Like for instance, in your groups that you have, Ken, they you can develop those people into being great musicians and singers because the type of music that you're doing requires the discipline that you grew up on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not like Cardi B. That's a different kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Yeah.
That means that what you
I hate to say it, man, we call those break tunes. When we play tunes like that, everybody just take a break. even the bass player. Like, I ain't even playing.
Take a break, You just let the DJ play.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's funny.
But I mean, material like I'm gonna tell you another song that's a burner, man. The Tramps, what is it? Disco Inferno?
Disco Inferno, yeah.
Boom. By the time that hit right there,
legs, man.
But I've seen that music. I've seen that music engage 5, 6, 7, on up to 87-year-old people in one setting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so because everything in that music, everything that they're hearing in that music was relevant to them when they used to listen to music.
Yeah.
So therefore they can deal with that, even if it's just the horn lines, the vocal lines, you know what I'm saying, or the rhythm. They can relate to that. It's very
and then it's that intensity that they see a human being creating. It's like you're creating it right in front of them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's magic.
That's why I say you have a working lab, with the units that you're dealing with. And
every time I talk to you, man, you be giving me something. You say I got a lab. I'm about to be Dr. Jackson.
Well, you do. I mean, that's what it is. That's what I mean. In other words, you got right now, like you were talking about that Barry Gordon. That was the lab, man. It was like a laboratory for ideas for writing, for songwriting. And then they had another section of the same lab that was for grooming entertainers.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then they had that one for just the choreography. Then there's one just for the actual outfits that they used to wear. So, you have a laboratory, man. You have all of that with multiple groups that you're dealing with. And at the same time, you're teaching them a discipline that they wouldn't normally have.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to playing in a band. I played in many bands coming up. And the main thing about the playing in the band is the discipline of the band. You would understand more about people's social or their environmental life by playing in a band, because everybody's coming from a different spot, socioeconomic spot. So they behave a certain way, and it's a lesson, It
is.
So
it is.
And now you're in charge of grooming that to make it better than what it would normally be. You know what I'm saying? So you have a lab.
You have a lab.
And all those projects that you have, like I said, you always know people that you can reach outside of that and to help you. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good thing, to have the resources, because you got it in all circles. So even if you go younger, with younger artists, you still have the same fundamentals to teach and direct and to make things happen, just under your leadership.
I got you.
So, Vaughn, what you got anything else? Cause I know Vaughn is from the West Coast, so he sees things a little bit differently,
Okay.
Yeah, I'd born on the West Coast, and
unfortunately,
since
he said unfortunately. Oh man, hey, my younger brother right now is in California. He's retired from the Navy. He loves it out there, man.
Okay.
He loves it out there.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and it's just that I'm here, and it was a transition for me moving to the Deep South, and so you know, I've gotten to the point now where it's you know, it's a mission that I'm on to be able to blow, you know, sound the alarm, the horn, that this great art form has to be preserved.
Yeah.
We need to return back to what's natural in music. We need, you know, I mean, it's tantamount, because the arts are not are being, I'm trying to think of the word, Edwin. I love the way Edwin uses the word disenfranchised, and it's disservice. We're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it has to be brought back to the forefront. You know, and you know, I'm as working at a radio station, I have to deal with programming all the time. And one thing that I asked the general manager and the programmer of the radio station is concerned, I said, let me have the flexibility to be able to match up, you know, what's current to what was in the past. You know, I don't have any problem playing, you know, playing a little bit of one of my favorite trumpet players right now is a cat by the name of Willie Bradley, and then, you know, back him up with some Lee Morgan to see the connection.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know, the past with the present. Yeah, and then you got the future with another trumpet player by the name of Ilan Trotman. So you know, you got these things that levels to this music, and there is a cultural generational tie to everything that has been developed in this art form. You know, even through vocally, you know, the vocalists do the same thing. There is a generational legacy, a tie to that tree, and so, you know, you can't cherry pick what you want out of it. Either you take it all as is or leave it alone. And so, you know, that's what I feel as though the smooth jazz market has done to the music. It separates it. You can't separate it. It is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah. But, you know, I think, like you said, creating categories create money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's like going to the supermarket and see and look at dishwashing detergent. You'll see a whole aisle full of different, but all of them do the same thing.
All of the same thing.
But yet there's a market for each one.
Each one. You're right.
Each one.
You're right.
So that's cool. That's kind of like putting a damper on the music field, because music is so much more diverse than dish liquid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for the most part, Kenny, what do you look for? Where do you see the music headed as far as you know, generations now that are being exposed to music? Do you see it that the younger people are actually bringing something that's going to be sustained? You know what I'm saying? Let's say like a bass, for instance. Like I mean a bass fundamentally as far as that goes. Is it something that will stay here like the Motown sound? You see what I'm saying? Because I have a hard time trying to figure out who was the top dog or the top musician or the top group 5 years ago. You see what I'm saying? Whereas during the Motown era, you know what I'm saying? The top group that was 5 years ago during the Motown era is still one of the top groups 5 years beyond that. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that in what's happening now.
You know, I think what's missing is what you mentioned earlier, is that soul aspect of it. You know what I mean? What I like about listening to the old music is I can hear every personality on the instrument. They're adding to that record. You know what I mean? Whereas the modern day music, you may have no musicians at all on the record.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like you said, it becomes trendy. It's something that I've heard before. I continue to hear before. Yeah, this ain't nothing. But when you listen to an old record, like for instance, when I'm listening to the Stylistics or the Delphonics, you know what I mean? I feel their soul, man. You can feel that record. You can feel them singing to whoever they're singing to. And I think if we could somehow, like you said earlier, reconnect that soul part to the playing part or the singing part, we'll be there. We'll be there.
I think the way you do that really is to put it in the schools again. And
the schools, well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you. For us, schools and churches.
Oh yeah, well,
I think when we change. Yeah, when we changed our church music, our church music totally changed too, man.
Okay,
give us
all that information because I'm still back there with. Wait a minute, church music? Man, what? You know,
I'm gonna tell you my favorite. You know what my favorite album to this day is, man. And I grew up listening to it because I grew up in a Pentecostal church, home, and so I couldn't really listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire first. So you know who I listened to? The Hawkins family.
Okay.
Love Alive and all those, man. Dude. Them records saved my soul, man. Yeah. I mean, really, because, the music was just as alive as anything that was going on the secular level. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then, I got to the point where I understood secular, it just means outside the church. It don't mean it's bad. It's just outside the church.
Right.
And so, man, if we get that soul back in the church music, oh, we won. We've won.
Tell me something now, because you made me think of something. In where they're doing it in church now, how is it that you're gonna lose that soul from a church? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, how did that happen? I think we left. You know what, Edwin? I think we left from doing choir music. Okay. We left the whole choir and went to praise and worship. Right? Okay.
And praise and worship
that'll do it.
That'll do it.
That has done it.
Praise and worship became unified from every church. Every church was doing the same thing, man. You know what I mean? So it's almost like
there are no choirs performing in church on Sundays, and I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
But
praise and worship service has taken over.
But isn't that also one of the things that, like you said, the praise and worship, by it being different from the choir, is that the same thing that you're saying when it changed? It changed the dynamic of the music in church, the praise groups?
Well, I think
that sounds more like what you were saying about the secular group. The type of rhythms that the praise groups use is the same as what secular music is based on.
For me, I appreciate all the worship, but it's like the choir evoke a different kind of emotion out of me. When I hear 100 voices singing a melody, you know what I mean?
Right.
And interacting like that, it's something that
it
totally different from a groove. Yeah.
It becomes heavenly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's almost like an ingredient. When you start taking different ingredients out of a recipe, after a while,
you change the taste.
You change the whole taste of it. Yeah, right. You change the whole taste of it.
No doubt.
Yep. And like even with jazz, like we were talking about smooth jazz, there's a place for tradition. Like when I went to Clark, we couldn't play smooth jazz. Right. We had to play. We couldn't play anything.
Not as long as Pat was there.
Pat,
you wasn't gonna do it as long as
Pat wasn't having it, man. I remember one of the cats tried to play an electric bass, man. They were like, "Nah, dude, nah, man." and so, that connect you with your sound and your horn and your instrument in a way that you really have to listen to. You know what I mean? It's just a different connection, different relationship.
Right.
So, but it's all needed.
Well, once the soul comes back to church, I think it's going to come back into mainstream.
Yeah.
Because it's no choice.
Speaking of the church, I had my first concert. It was so funny. My wife took me to a concert that I had no idea I was going to, and she said it's going to be a surprise.
Okay.
And this is when we were dating, and I was, it was kind of like, I knew about the Hawkins family. I knew about Andre Crouch.
Yeah.
All of these, great gospel singers back in California when I was growing up. And so I got here, and she took me to this concert, and I had no idea who I was seeing. And she got me in there, and I saw the poster on the wall. I said, "The Winans?"
Oh, yeah.
The Winans?
Yeah.
And so when let me tell you something. It pretty much changed my whole direction
Yep.
in terms of that talent that
Mm-hmm.
exists on that
Yep.
level.
Yep.
I was so blown away and overwhelmed by what I saw. I went out and bought their first 3 albums plus the current one that was the
Yep.
and
Yep.
I said, this is too much. And then
Yep.
along came Commission,
you
know, with Fred Hammond and all them. And I said, I'm in heaven. I'm literally in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Because the harmonies, I mean, they're like the Five Blind Boys and the Gospel Jordanaires back in the day, and they have just, you know. And Fred Hammond will tell you to this day, his biggest influence as a musician was George Duke.
George Duke, well, you know, I think about the city that they came out of too, man. Detroit was producing.
Detroit, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. They're still doing it in Detroit.
They're still doing it. You're right.
You know,
you're right.
Still doing it. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big hip hop fan, but I think a lot of it had to do with the cat by name Jay Dilla. You know, what he was doing.
I remember Jay Dilla. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Jay Dilla. Yeah.
You know.
He had his own style and sound and everything. Yeah.
Own style altogether. You know.
Now,
and he just
tell me something.
Now, give me what was already out there, and just made hits out of it. You know.
Mm-hmm. Vaughn, what would you say? What would you give me an example of a soul artist from the West Coast, like a soul artist, like growing up? Who give me a name, like a soul artist?
Oh wow. You know, I would have to say, who fits that mold. Well, you know, it really would have to be like in the 70s to me, more so than the 60s.
Okay.
Who
would you say?
Because the 60s had such a pop sound,
you
know, in Cali at that time. But the 70s, you know, and I'm thinking about Solar Records, and it really wasn't one individual. It was just the music that was produced by Leon Silvers. Leon Silvers.
I got you.
That inner city LA sound that was so prevalent when he signed on to work and do production work for Solar Records. Now his family, the Silvers,
I know, I'm hip to Silvers, yeah.
You know, but when he galvanized that core musician group that he had at Solar Records, you know, with Steve Shockley on guitar and all these other cats that he had. Steve Shockley was a guitarist for Lakeside at the time, and he had that rhythm section. You know, it was just magic because, you know, at the time, it was like, that was prior to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. That was prior to that sound out of Virginia, you know.
Timberlake, Timberland, and
Timberlake.
I know you're talking about.
Even prior to Timberland.
You talking about Teddy? You talking about Teddy Riley? Teddy Riley, yeah.
All of that, what Leon was doing, you know, with Shalimar and you know, it just Lakeside and all of these bands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, even you know, some of the best good, I call garage bands were doing it, like Roar on the West Coast. We would get a lot of stuff out of Oakland, like Tower Power.
Tower Power, yep.
You know, Frankie Beverly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, so all of that stuff was filtered down through the state. And so, you know, to me, I can't really say one particular artist, but it was like a galvanized effort. California soul is a special thing. It's always has been.
Yeah. I was thinking about all of the hip hop that I've heard from the West Coast, right? And the samples that they've used. And I think about the hip hop from the East Coast and the samples they've used. A lot of the hip hop, the samples from the East Coast is James Brown, Otis Redding, you know, those voices, Ray Charles. Yeah. But I heard a lot of Johnny Guitar Watson. I heard a lot of Johnny Guitar Watson when I was listening to a lot of.
You know who's the second most sampled artist in the history of hip hop right now? You wouldn't believe it if I told you.
Tell me.
Bob James.
Bob James? Yeah.
Bob James.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
I can believe that.
Bob
he
James,
has so many grooves, man.
Now, Bob James is, you know, because Wu-Tang, Ghostface Killer, all those guys, they took Nautilus and stretched it out, you know, his single Nautilus he did,
Yeah.
and then it became a plethora of hip hop artists started sampling multiple Bob James singles.
I got you.
You know, and like you said, James Brown is top of the line, but Bob James is right behind him.
Okay.
But that's that East Coast West Coast difference. Where you know Bob James had more the popish, you know, sound.
That feel.
You can get all these different elements that you can kind of put in your music that wouldn't interfere. You know what I'm saying, with the heavier soul sounds from the East Coast and the West.
Yeah, and he surrounded himself with all of those other studio musicians with CTI. And, and you know, he was very thankful to Gary King, who was his bassist, and that bass line for Nautilus is like legendary. You know, so that's what he's. You know, Bob James is highly thankful for all those brothers that were working with him out of New York.
No doubt.
I'm sure. Yeah,
really. So what we're gonna do, Kenny? We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, man.
Oh man, I've enjoyed this, man.
And can you give everybody out there checking us out some information on how to get in touch with you, how to follow you, and so forth?
Okay. My IG is Studio7ATL. My Facebook page is Kenneth Faison. My band page is www.AtlantaShowstoppers.com and PurePartyBand.com.
Okay. And that's and you have any music they can go to find out what you've been doing?
If you go, you could download the Shindellas. That's the group I'm working with currently. They have a new single out called Money, which is real nice.
Okay. What's the name?
And also,
what's the name again? What's the name?
Shindellas.
Shindellas.
Yeah, Shindellas.
Oh, Shindellas.
Shindellas. Yeah.
Oh, Shindellas. Yeah, I was going to say you need to spell that because it was hard for me to hear what you were saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. SHINDELLAS.
Oh, okay then.
Shindellas. And then Louis York. The CD is called The American Griot. We did the horns on that one too.
Okay, they can check that out on YouTube or Spotify or what?
All of the available. Yep, all of those
all platforms. Oh, okay. All right, Vaughn, you know what to do.
Yep. You can find me at jazzbeatsradio.com. That's the webpage for the radio station. My show is called Soulscapes on Jazz Beats Radio. And my show runs Saturdays and Sundays from 12 noon to 4 p.m. And also I have my Instagram page, which is Vaughn Coulter. And also my YouTube webpage site is Soulscapes on Jazz Beats Radio. You can find me there as well.
And of course, you know, you can find me at Edward Williams. You can find me at yesjazzmatters.org. And make sure when you go there, like us, subscribe to us. Check out the Jazz Matters store. At the Jazz Matters store, we do apparel similar to this with the Jazz Matters, the t-shirt stuff, sweatshirts, hoodies. What else we got? We even got hot sauce. So for all you hot sauce lovers out there, go out there and got the hot sauce. I know. Yeah, I figured that would get you. You know. And just go there. That's yesjazzmatters.org, and go. Also, don't forget, go to the donate page and donate something. We are 501c3. So until the next time, Kenny, man, we'll get you back in here with things actually open up a little bit.
Good time, man.
Sure, we'll make sure that once everybody starts rolling again, you know, we're gonna, because I know you're gonna be doing different things by then, and we're going to keep up with you as much as possible. And Vaughn, same thing. You can sign off, you know, when
peace to you, brothers. Kenneth, it's been a pleasure, man.
Right.
Pleasure, man. Nice meeting you, man.
All right, man. And that'll do it for us until the next Jazz Matters. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe.